Hello, everybody. My name is Harris, and today we are bringing a first look at a brand new MMORPG called Throne in Liberty. It is probably one of the best looking MMOs to date. The visuals in this game are stunning, as you can tell, and we'll kick it off with a little bit about the character creator. So going into this, the character creator is solid. They have a lot of options for you to mess around with your character. There are a multitude of default faces and structures that you can build off of. And then you can take a default facial structure and tweak it to more suit your specified character design. I spent a solid 30 minutes creating my character. I tried to go on the goofier end of things, but without being too crazy. A lot of the options in this game allow you to get real creative with your character. So I enjoyed the level of character creation. There's certain aspects that I wish there was a little bit more of in terms of creating body shape and everything, but I do understand that just from an overall armor look, I feel like they wanted players to be a more identifiable shape because this is a PvP based MMO. There are a lot of different makeup options. You can tweak how the makeup looks. There are different masks for the tattoos and makeup so that you can color one side of it. And then there's another subsection that allows you to color another side of the tattoo or makeup. So it allows you to get real creative, as I had mentioned. And then after character creation, you will load up into a brief tutorial that explains how the game functions and all that likeness. And I believe one of the coolest things about this game is that a lot of it is done seamless. There is no load screens, so you move from one cutscene and you'll jump straight into combat. So a lot of what you're seeing is rendered in game, but it's done through a more cinematic camera angle and filter, and then it'll just drop you into combat. This game does it multiple times. It feels like a single player game in a lot of instances where you have those high quality cutscenes. Throne in Liberty is your PvP style MMO. There is a lot of PvE. It is locked behind certain guilds' milestones. Basically, everyone bands together to complete certain tasks, and those tasks allow you to unlock new content for everybody. The driving point of this game is PvP. Up until about 6 months ago, I believe, there was pretty much only PvP. They had a few open world dungeons that you could do where you would essentially go in either during the day where it was peaceful and you could grind different materials, different drops, so on and so forth, using abyssal coins. And then during the night, some of these dungeons stay open and turn into PvP zones. And essentially players would go in with their guild or a party, and you can attempt to grind during the length of the night in game. And other players would be able to engage in conflict zones within those dungeons. There's also a system that allows players to either participate in Dominion matches, which is a 3-faction red, green, blue PvP, and that'll take over a specific event that happens, I believe, every 2 to 3 hours, or guild events for guilds to hop in for more reputation, and essentially guilds would duke it out for control of an event and try to earn rewards through that. So it eases players into the idea of PvP, especially in an open world setting, without being the constant version of like what people believe, where higher level players would essentially come in and just constantly stomp on newer players. A lot of the PvP zones, when it comes to a specific event, it will actually set players to be around the level that zone is. So a lot of the stats will be reduced to that specific zone. It doesn't necessarily keep players from dying, but if you're level 50, you still have access to more skills, your percentages are higher, things like that. So remember, again, this game is PvP first. As you can see, what's been going on in the background is there is a combination system of 2 different weapons that allows you to make up your class. It doesn't matter which is your main and sub in terms of the class name or playstyle. The NCSoft has made it easier for people to categorize their builds by giving these classes names. They originally did not have names, but each combination of 2 weapons will allow you to create a new class. So sword and shield with a greatsword would be a crusader, I believe, whereas a greatsword and wand is a paladin, things along those lines. A staff and wand is an invoker. There's a lot of different combinations and playstyles that you can build. There is no right builds, but there are definitely some very, very lethal builds, and also some great support builds for each class. So a lot of it is built around you understanding how the game works and building around that, and making sure that you're able to set yourself up for success, because just like any other PvP game, it's not necessarily all about you, but you need to keep yourself alive. Also, speaking of builds, this game does allow you to freely switch up how you play. It does come at a cost in terms of skill books, because skill books allow you to level up your skills in the game, and you need to craft or farm a lot of them. But there are these tickets called skill conversion tickets, and they allow you to take experience from one skill and apply it to a similar skill. So if you are playing a paladin style character and you're no longer trying to support and you'd rather become a bow user or something along those lines, you can purchase skill conversion tickets in the cash shop, or there are some handouts in terms of completing certain chapters that also net you skill conversion tickets. And you can essentially change up how your build works by using those tickets and dumping experience from one skill into another, and that'll allow you to switch up your builds. And the same thing goes for your weapons as well. You're constantly enchanting them with the specified stones. There is a transfer ability that allows you to take the same blue sword, and if you have a blue bow, you'll be able to 1-to-1 transfer all that experience into that weapon at the cost of losing your previous weapon. So there's a lot of play styles. There's a lot of freedom in what you do, but that freedom comes with a lot of grind and making sure that you have the necessary materials to level up that build that you're trying to use. So try to make sure that you're making the right choices, or you're not trying to throw a lot of materials into upgrading certain things, to test out a lot of what you are using to make sure that you like it, because you could end up really stranding yourself out with having to go to a specific area and grind to get more materials to craft certain skill books, things like that. So it's just something to think about. You have tons of freedom, but that freedom is what you make of it. So just a little bit into the combat as well. The combat is a action-based, but also tab targeted. It's a weird combination. A lot of people, it's a love and hate type of deal. I personally like it. I think it works really well for what they do. The combat is very engaging with how your character moves, with how skills are executed, and things like that. There are a little bit of a few problem areas in terms of collision. I've found myself wall smashing a mob into a wall, and then myself going into the wall and being trapped in a dungeon. So it is definitely a great combat system in my opinion, but a lot of it needs to be worked on because, again, as I had mentioned, this game was completely different 6 months ago, and they had taken the time to listen to player feedback and change a lot. So there is certain bugs and tweaks that need to be made in order for the new style of Throne and Liberty to be completely fleshed out. That doesn't mean in no way does the system fail at anything, in my opinion. I think they did a great job with the turnaround that they had. It's just, there's just small things that you notice that, you know, this game clearly was originally a point and click style tab game. So over time, they've said that they're going to continue to tweak and improve certain systems. Like originally, even 2 months ago, skills were just the skills that you had. There was no like actual changes to them. And now there is a enhancement system where you take points and you're allowed to affix different attributes to them. So like a smash attack could end up becoming a charged attack, so you'd have to hold down the button, or certain elements on a skill can change into a different element, or you can add elements to a certain attack. It's definitely a fun system that allows you to feel like you are crafting your own playstyle, especially with how engaging it feels. Every skill feels like it's meaty. There is no real sponge anymore. If you had played the beta back in, I want to say August, a lot of the complaint was that monsters felt very spongy. That is completely gone. We are currently up to date with a lot of the Korean systems. The content is a little bit locked behind time gates just because they don't want people getting so far ahead and essentially kind of stagnating the auction house, or splitting the player base up too much. But they had improved a lot of these systems so that players were able to engage in combat and kind of move through monsters so that you feel like you're this powerful character just chewing away through hordes of monsters. And they did a good job of that. All right. Now, while this beautiful cutscene plays in the background, I will get to talking about the most hotly anticipated and argued topic in regards to Throne and Liberty. Throne and Liberty is not only a player versus player game, a lot of the stigmatism behind that is the game pay to win. It is continuously debated on, even during early access, whether or not Throne and Liberty is pay to win. There are discussions as to what pay to win even means to certain people. Everybody has their own definition of pay to win, so on and so forth. The easiest way I can answer this is that I don't believe that it's pay to win. And there's a lot of reason as to why I don't believe that it's pay to win. Can you outright buy the best in slot weapon in the game? Yeah, you can. It is something that they were, I believe, kind of cautious in allowing players to do, because once you get into the game and you even unlock the auction house, which the auction house unlocks at level 40, you kind of see that it's weird how they have the auction house set up. Like, you can't just take any kind of weapon and throw it up on the market. A lot of the time you still have to obtain the weapon to begin with, because only the traits are available for that weapon. You can take world boss weapons and you can throw that up on the market. And I believe that is what a lot of the stigma is coming from when it comes to people complaining about whether or not the game is pay to win. But you have to understand that they can't just buy the weapon and then they're gonna essentially run around killing everybody. You still have to upgrade this weapon. You still have to put time and investment into your character. You still have to level to 50. You still have to collect enhancement stones. You still have to collect all the skill books. Like, there is no just outright, I'm going to throw money at this game. I'm swiping my credit card. And I'm going to be just as strong as somebody who's been playing the game since early access. That's not going to happen. There's been multiple cases even of people looking at streamers who were buying these boss weapons right out the gate for like $300. Because again, the auction house is player set. This isn't like BDO where everything has a developer priced market. It is set so that players can choose how much they want. And these streamers are still getting essentially steamrolled by players in blue gear because their class just isn't set up for that. I don't believe that this game is pay to win. I don't believe that it can really be possible unless they start adding the enhancement stones and everything else for Lucent. Until then, I don't see it happening. And just as a kind of wind down, this is everything in the market right now as of early access. You can see there is no enhancement stones for Lucent. A lot of it is just cosmetic stuff, the battle pass, so on and so forth. You can get enhancement stones with Orient coins, but again, that is purely just a currency that you can only obtain in game. You can't obtain that anywhere else. So if you want to consider any of that pay to win like that, that's great and that's your right. But as far as what it truly means to be pay to win in a PvP based game, I don't believe that Throne and Liberty in its current state embodies that. I believe it's closer to a system that Warframe has, where players are constantly taking their loot and putting that loot on a market board rather than having to spam trade chat. It's all player set, and you can do the same thing with grinding and taking someone else's money and then buying things off the market board that you want, or things off the cash shop like the battle pass, so on and so forth. I believe that this is a nice, happy medium, but in terms of like outright buying power, I don't believe that it is something that will definitely leave players feeling like they can't compete. It's a long and very tired subject, and things could change later on. But as of right now, I don't believe that Throne and Liberty is pay to win. So thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in game.